I mean, what is this? Ninjas, drug pushers, my men being kidnapped and murdered? This is really beginning to get on my tits.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode number 15 of the Geeks in the Hood podcast. I am your host, Mighty Vicious. On Facebook, you know me as Will TSTI Johnson. And below me, my co-host is Jinx Deadpool.
Wasabi.
You can also find him on Facebook at Brian Daniel. I don't know if you wanted your information out there like that, but
yeah, well, it's a little late for that now, but it's
it is a little
I'm
late
not
for
hiding
that.
from anybody.
Are you sure? I mean, last episode you did have
I'm
that
sure.
sword you
I'm
were just
sure.
waving around.
No, I'm sure.
Okay. Yeah, just making sure. I might have the exclusive on CNN. What were you thinking when you had him as a co-host on your podcast? I'm like, well, I thought he was just a normal, cool dude that I used to talk some geek stuff.
I didn't realize he had all those bodies stacked under the building.
I didn't know that it wasn't that his apartment was made from human bones and his lampshade from the skin of his victims.
That's my summer home.
Oh,
that's my summer home.
You Ed Geening it out here? Is that what's going on?
Well, you know those Paris catacombs. They inspired me.
Oh. What was that movie? What was that movie where the people were stuck in the catacombs and like they had an Anubis?
As above, so below.
Okay, so it was that movie.
As above, so below, and then there's the cave. But yeah, as above, so below. I actually enjoyed that movie.
I enjoyed it, other than the fact that I was like the whole movie from beginning to end. I was like, man, if you people of color don't get away from this white woman going so far down,
yo. And then they get underground, and you literally get to the gate of hell, and you're like, yeah, now we got to go through there. I'd be like, no, we don't.
Yeah, and I'm like,
yeah,
I'm like, I mean, I feel like her confidence is suspicious. Like, it's like she knows that every single one of y'all is going to throw your bodies in front of her if something goes off the rails. And I was just, she was the real villain of that movie.
She was a little suspect.
Yeah.
Just talk anybody into just doing whatever. Like, no, just go deeper in the hole.
Just go into the hole, Jamal. Just go into the hole.
No, I'm good.
Jamal knew it too. Jamal was holding that camera. You could see the doubt in his like hand shaking. Like you could just.
Oh my goodness.
Man, I'm like, yo, she gonna get you hemmed up, bruh. And then somehow she gonna miraculously get out, and all y'all dead motherfuckers gonna be downstairs. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah.
But I also enjoyed that movie. But yes, as I said, sorry, that was a tangent that we had to go on because but I really liked how they had like Anubis or set in there. Like that was unexpected, but I was very delighted just to see it myself. But yeah, as I stated before, this is the Geeks in the Hood podcast. For those of you who have not watched us before, we talk about all things geek, from movies to video games, all the way down to, I mean, sometimes music, and then we complain. Well, I complain. Jinx is a happy-go-lucky, greatest dad on earth, guy with a beautiful daughter. Like I'm just mean. I'm just mean, I guess. I'm just never
I'm not
happy.
Go lucky. I just try not to get all irritated about shit because there's more than enough shit in the world to be irritated about. Why am I gonna let the irritation sneak into my forms of entertainment? Fuck that.
I mean, but where's the fun in that? I mean, there's no way. I mean, if you're trying to have like a heart attack or a stroke by 50, you got to change that around, guy. You can't be living so wholesome. You need to get your blood pressure up like me, and
I do that after the fact. I try to enjoy shit first, and then I pick it apart after the fact.
Oh, so I'm the one on the podcast coming off looking like I'm crazy in the head, and then you get off the podcast after being all super wholesome, and you're like, oh, well, I actually agreed with him. I don't know why.
No, it's nothing. No. You are like Mr. Negative.
Yeah. Okay. Like yo, you done turned me into a Spider-Man villain.
I do not want anything less than perfection. And if you didn't put perfection into your effort, then I don't even want to see your effort. And I'm
look,
just like,
I'm not going to say that you're lying. I'm just
exactly.
I'm just going to say that you turned me into a Spider-Man villain. You call me Mr. Negative. Okay. You know what? I might start going by that. I might do that. But I swear to God, I can be happy with things that I see. It's just when I see something getting praise, I don't have to tear it down before anybody even jumps in and says it. That's not what I was going to say. When I
was going to say,
look,
see something getting praised that you don't feel deserves it.
When I see something getting praised and people aren't judging it adequately, and by adequately, I don't mean that they have to agree with me on everything I say. It's just things have problems. Like, I can pick apart I think The Matrix is the best thing ever. That's just bottom line. Like, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But even I can look at The Matrix 2 and say, hey, when they had the big fight with the Smiths, why the hell did they make the sound effects for them falling down bowling pins? That ruined the whole scene. Like, even I can say that. So if I can say that about my favorite movie, or I say movie because I consider them all one movie. That's just the way my mind works. If I can admit that about my favorite movie, then I need you to be able to be like, yo, okay, so let's talk about Aquaman.
I was gonna say, but that's why I'm your co-host, because I can do that, and still argue.
Oh no, you started slowing down
The other way.
Oh no, it started slowing you down. It started cutting you off. I wonder if we should take this moment to switch over.
Oh no. What, to Discord?
Yeah, I think that might be the way to go, just to make sure that doesn't happen again. There was just a lag spike, it seemed.
Yeah, I heard you go kind of silent too. Hold on, let me go get into it.
But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Freecino, thank you for coming through. We're not we're not quite at the trailer yet. But yeah, we're just talking about many things right now, like As Above, So Below. That movie, how everybody was basically dead ass the whole movie except for the white chick, and everybody knew it. It was just like, yo, if y'all don't stop following this girl down this hole, she gonna be the only one to get out. But then we started going into how I'm a Spider-Man villain, Mr. Negative, and I'm just saying. So
you got
yeah,
your positive side too. It's just always at war with your negative side.
Okay. Well, look. This is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna jump in. We're gonna go ahead and jump into the trailer for Joker, so that we can. And while we switch over to different audio, and y'all can enjoy the trailer. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. So here, let's see. I don't want to do it too much like Heath Ledger with the "Here we go." But yeah, here we go.
Can you please stop bothering my kid?
Sorry.
Arthur, I have some bad news for you. This is the last time we'll be meeting.
You don't listen, do you? You just ask the same questions every week. How's your job? Are you having any negative thoughts? All I have are negative thoughts.
And finally, in a world where everyone thinks they can do my job, check out this guy.
When I was a little boy and told people I was going to be a comedian, everyone laughed at me. Well, no one's laughing now.
You can say that again, pal.
It's so awful, isn't it?
For my whole life, I didn't know if I even really existed. But I do. And people are starting to notice.
Think this is funny? Is this a joke to you?
Murray, one small thing.
Yeah.
When you bring me out, can you introduce me as Joker? Send in the clowns.
So, All right. There we go. Now I'm just trying to make sure that everybody can hear you. Because you know what? You know what? We're gonna go back. We're gonna go back to the other thing and just see if it'll straighten itself. Yeah, see if it'll straighten itself out. All right. All right. So, are you able to hear me?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Then we'll just keep it at that for now. So, basically, what are your thoughts on the trailer? And everyone in chat, please step in, say how you feel as well, because we are going to pick it apart now, probably for like the next 30 minutes to an hour.
I personally, I think it looks really good. I love the homage again to the original clown makeup, the mask that Cesar Romero wore in the '60s movie, which
Yeah.
is the same, pretty much the same makeup that, which is the same mask that Heath Ledger wore, and then it popped up a couple of times in the animated things too. I really like the cinematography in it. It looks absolutely amazing. I'm loving that New York is being used as Gotham again. Um, and I'm intrigued by the story. There is the rumor that this is not going to be the Joker, but a Joker.
Which feels like what they did in Gotham.
Yes. Yes. Which, if you ask me, kind of feels more natural that someone just came up. But even now, no matter what, you still have you have a proto Joker, whether they are the Joker that becomes the Joker or someone else that inspires the person to become the Joker. I'm intrigued to see how this plays out in that world. Um, but as I did put in the chat, this is a completely separate thing. It is completely separate from their DC, excuse me, EU, whether they find a way to resurrect that or what, it's not going to be connected to any of the current films. At least that's not the way it is so far. Who knows what happens later down the line? And I actually think that allows them to be a little bit more free with the story.
Yeah.
Because it's not tied to any of the stuff that's going on. So they can concentrate on serious character development and this man's descent into madness and becoming the Joker, which is something I'm very intrigued to see.
Yeah, to see if they can pull off actual crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in a way where you feel sympathetic, but it totes that line of, yeah, you're sympathetic. Oh, wait, no, you're not sympathetic anymore.
Yeah.
You're you're along with him for a bit of it, for a bit of his journey, and then he hits that turn, and you're like, oh fuck no, I can't follow him no more. But you still want to see where the story goes.
Okay. Now, see, the only thing that makes me think that it's all bullshit, because, DC came out and said they were going to do one-offs and, not worry about the cinematic universe, which they already screwed up. But I can't, when I see that part in the trailer where the people in the clown mask are riding outside of the movie theater, and the movie theater is playing Excalibur, which is the same movie that Bruce and his family were at, where his parents ended up dying.
Well, that depends, because it was Mark of Zorro in some versions.
Yeah, but in the most recent version.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, when they show the flashback when they show the flashback in Batman v Superman, it's Excalibur.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. Yes.
Interesting.
And so that makes me think that they are, in fact, going to try to tie this, but they with this, the man who inspired the Joker aspect,
right.
They don't have to worry about whether or not Joaquin Phoenix wants to stay on, or if they can still give it to someone else. And so with that, and I don't know how I feel about Thomas Wayne being the villain of this movie.
Right.
I'm not saying it ruins the movie. I mean, like you said, the trailer, and Freesino said, the trailer in itself is a cinematic masterpiece. Like, it is brilliant. I have nothing I can complain about with this trailer. Like, nothing. So I'm not trying to say there's anything wrong, but I really do feel like there's I don't know, like, just having Thomas Wayne as a villain is immediately starting things off on a way that I can see a lot of backlash coming from it. Like, no one's saying anything now because they're not really being clear as to whether or not he is the villain. Mm-hmm. But he's supposedly playing a corrupt city official. And so I feel like people are glossing over it because the trailer is just so beautiful.
It wouldn't be the first time that there's been that major of a shift in the moral stance of Thomas Wayne in media before. The Telltale Batman games did a decent job of painting it where there was the mythology and the reality of Thomas Wayne and most of the more powerful of Gotham. And I actually enjoyed that aspect of it because it kind of had Bruce kind of question what he stands for. But it also makes what Bruce does as Batman stand up even more, because now he's not just doing it to avenge his parents, he's doing it to make up for the ills that his parents have inflicted upon the city.
And that makes you feel a little bit like Oliver McQueen. But I would like to say, for the moment, thank you to Mr. Biro for coming through and representing on Facebook. This is our first time trying to do a podcast and stream it to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch at the same time. I appreciate you jumping in and dropping a comment. If you have anything, I can see what you type. So if you want to make comments throughout this, I'll make sure to talk about it during the podcast. So other than that, I've seen a few people talking about this trailer, and I'm not sure just how in depth we're going to get with the Joker. Because like we just said, this seems like they're going more with the Gotham, the man who inspired the Joker, or the Joker persona. But there's a part also in the trailer where there's a black woman holding the mask, and that he gets into the train and puts on, and it's almost as if it was orchestrated so that he could just like disappear because he's being chased by a policeman. And it's like, are we going to see that level of development in this dude who has the persona of the Joker, even though he's not supposed to be the Joker, maybe? Or is he?
I have a feeling they're taking what they did in Gotham, but they're taking it on a slightly, when I say grander scale, I just mean for the movie itself. But I feel like they're doing that whole, the Joker isn't just a person, it's an idea, it's a movement type thing. Where and they're running with that, where he ends up standing out above all, and those that kind of gravitate towards the movement are always willing to help him.
Now, what's the time period of this movie?
80s.
Because it would have to be 81 for Excalibur.
Like yeah.
So, would you accept it if he was the Joker and they decided, we like this guy, let's put him in Matt Reeves' The Batman? Would you accept the time jump with not as much change, or would you have a problem with it? For those that don't know,
I think I could accept it to a point. I almost want to say, if I'm going to accept it, I want them to go forward with that rumor that Jared Leto's Joker was actually Jason Todd.
And we'll get into Jared Leto and that Joker
and he basically went and he just went dark after all that happened. And I was like, that theory always stood out to me. Like, no, that's just a more messed up twist on the Red Hood version, and I kind of like that. It's Batman: The Dark Knight. I mean, excuse me, it's Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker on a higher level, where things didn't get fixed. And because I always thought that plan in that movie was fucked up, but it's a perfect Joker plan.
It is, but I just don't like. It's convoluted enough.
Oh,
like
yeah, I agree.
DC at its base is just convoluted as hell, and I think that's why. And I think that's why it's hard for DC to make good movies, or movies that are genuinely accepted by the masses. I don't want to say good movies, just movies that are genuinely accepted as good by masses, is because when it comes down to it, not only do the suits ruin everything, but the comics themselves and all the things that you need to have reference on are just layered in everything, layered in time. Even if you pick up a DC comic, you'll see in the footnotes where they'll be like, see blah and blah episode 1978, and it's like, who's going to go back and try to find that footnote? Like, who's going to do that? And I've always felt that was the difference between DC and Marvel, is that DC definitely has like the more mature, darker things, but at the same time, all their superheroes are basically the pantheon of gods. And it makes it hard to tell stories for them. Whereas when you're dealing with Marvel, most of their characters, they still come off, even though they're superheroes, they still come off as more relatable because of their stories and their settings and like what they're going against.
I have always said DC is basically new mythology, and Marvel Comics is basically humanity with abilities.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. They tell stories about humanity, but humanity just happens to be superpowered. Whereas DC tells huge, epic, mythological adventures, and there's the human experience woven in between there somewhere.
Yeah.
So, I wholeheartedly agree with you. The one thing that, and that's why DC has had this need to every few decades do a soft reboot because they have so much stuff that's layered. Whereas Marvel takes a more calculated approach to how they're going to do things. Once they hit a certain time period and they realize a lot of their backstory is getting old, what they'll do is they'll just have a writer create a more modernized version of that character's origin. They'll spin that into some new miniseries, and now this is the new canon origin for Spider-Man in 2019. That was just written in 2009. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't change everything, but it takes little things and moves them forward, or it takes little things and changes specifics. Like they did it with Captain America and everyone else, where they'll write stories and they'll have them in their original, like they'll write the stories like they were drawn and they were written back in the day. But when you get to the modern version of that story, when you get to that modern part of that story, they'll connect it and go, oh, that was only 15 years ago. Or that was only 10 years ago in our time, but I remember when that happened. And they will, and the drawings will be, 70 style drawing. They'll be in 70 styles clothes and everything.
Yeah. So we have a comment from Biro on Facebook, and he says, "Is the Joker's origin story interesting at all? ? If he never fell into a vat of chemicals, he would be every guy you've ever met who does local stand-up, kind of depressed and desperate for validation. Also, there's no way the Joker has a tight 5. I don't know what a tight 5 is. I'm gonna have to.
I'm thinking about it. I'm guessing his abs.
There's no way he has tight abs." So, Biro, keep going. I want to know where you're going with this. I personally believe that all the origins that they've created for the Joker, I've thought that all of them were interesting. And honestly, it's everyone knows I have my problems with the Dark Knight Joker, but like I said, we'll get into that later. But I do feel like all of his stories are interesting, but I believe that they're interesting within a time period. And I almost feel like, and I feel like once you run out of that time period, it becomes a little hokey. Like, let's say you go with the person the guy who gets dropped into the vat of acid. Well, when that was the case and we didn't know anything about him, that was good enough, because that's really, I mean, let's go back into time and see the creations of comic book characters. I mean, the Hulk took a bomb to the face and it was a gamma bomb, so he became a gamma monster. Like, I mean, when you look at all the Flash got struck by lightning with random chemicals and they gave him powers. Like, all these things
that made superheroes should have killed him.
Yeah, they would have if it was anywhere near real. But that's what I'm saying. Like, within a time period, it works. And then they have to kind of bring it into the now. And so, like, the way I feel about this movie, and I think the genius of it being put in the 80s, is that you do have that society being kind of run by the nighttime television host. Mm-hmm. And therefore, to put them in that and put them in the time period where that makes sense, that's a good way to both update and pay homage. I've always liked more of the even more recent updated version where you have, the gang, the Red Hoods, and like their leader, which a tight 5 is a 5-minute stand-up set that can be done at every open mic night comedy show. Okay. Hey, see, on Wednesdays, we have my friend who's an actual comedian out in Texas, and he would have been able to see straight through that and be like, yeah, that's what that is. So thank you Thank you for educating us. But the most recent one they've done with the Red Hood, where it's just this gang sets up somebody as a fall guy as the Red Hood every job they pull, and that way when that
last one ended up getting turned basically into the Joker.
Yeah, and the last one ended up getting turned into the Joker. Like, I like that story, and that story, because it's basically just a story of a B&E, of a breaking and entering, like, that kind of makes it timeless. That kind of makes it timeless moving forward. And so, like, I like that, and I find it interesting because it really does play off of the dynamic that they've hyped up over the past decade, which is like who made who. And, you know, and they did that because there's, once again, that layered, muddled nature between which origin do you accept. Because in one, you know, basically, depending on what you're considering to be the Joker's origin, you can argue both Batman made him, and you can also argue that he made Batman, according to some origin retellings. So it's just kind of like, you know, I felt like through all the issues I've had with some of the current retellings of the origin, I've been happy-est, I think, even though I don't necessarily agree with everything done in the Nolan films. I like the idea of a dude who you don't know when he's telling you the truth about his origin.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the most interesting things in that movie to me, was just every time someone would mention it, or whenever he had a monologue, he would slightly just change something about the story of how he got his scars and all this other stuff.
I believe there's a precedent for that from the Killing Joke comic, and he actually said because he's given, at that point he had given a bunch of different origins, and I believe it was Batman or someone was asking him, well, which one is the real one? And he was like, well, it's my origin. I'd like it to be multiple choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
there you go.
It's mine. I want to do whatever the fuck I want to do with it. And the Joker is that kind of a character that would do that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And in that, I think we're going to switch this around because I do want to talk a little bit more about the trailer and give people time to think about what they want to ask as for what their thoughts are on the trailer. But I want to talk about past Jokers, like leading up to us now. Now, I don't need to go all the way back to, you know, the old TV show, you know, Adam West. I don't need to go all the way back there.
Romero and his powdered mustache alone.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying anything was wrong with him. I watched it. Shit. So I'm just saying, like if we go immediately back, I feel like, and I'm a little saddened by this, honestly. I'm a little saddened if we don't see another film with Jared Leto as the Joker.
I agree, because I feel like he got the short end of the stick with a movie that was plagued by studio interference and multiple other issues. But I got what they were trying to do with the character. I wish we had gotten to see more.
Yeah, okay, so the disrespected one put P.N. Gwyn, which is
Penguin.
It was the Riddler. What was it? Yeah, the Riddler in the old television show said it's like P.N. Gwyn, and that's why Batman is a detective. Okay, look, you agreed with me, disrespected one. Look, all I'm saying is, if they, this is the one thing they could have done, and I honestly think it would have changed everyone's perception of that Joker within that movie. Take the goddamn face tats off. If you take the face tats off, I think people would have looked at it a lot differently. Because I liked everything about everything about his character and the way he was playing the Joker, except for the face tats. Like, it just made everything he did seem stupider. But his mannerisms, all his little quirks that he had, and I loved his laugh too. I loved that laugh. It was different enough to be new, but it was still kind of like, it got across. It said the Joker to me. That's
the two scenes that stood out for me with him were the club scene and then the kitchen scene with the cop.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. I died laughing when he was like, I could tell you really meant that. And I would really like to say to everyone, yes, exterminate. Hey, what's going on, my dude? And Paula, thank you for stopping through. I just really think people should go back and like whatever you may think of the movie itself. Because I've realized that for me, that movie is I'm not going to say guilty pleasure. That movie is it's like a thing you that I have to watch in a moment while I'm feeling a certain way. And if I do that, I'm just like, yo, I'm entertained. But if I don't, if I just turn it on and try to watch it, I'm just like, yo, this is awful. Like I can literally go back and forth between those thoughts depending on like when I turn it on.
Yeah, I was gonna say it depends. Like it depends on what moment I happen to walk back in the room. If I, you know what I mean? Because if I walk in on one of the characters that I actually like, I'm like, all right, okay. And then I walk in on something else, I'm like,
okay. So
I'm gonna agree with that. Not in my choice, but only because of the reaction and
the general reception.
Yeah.
So Biro said, I don't know, man. Making the Joker realistic drains me of any interest. If he's a guy who got doused in chemicals and that made him paint fish with his face on them, that's something. If he's just a clown who yells, I'm representative of society, I'm out. See, Biro, let me ask you, what did you think of The Dark Knight? Because my problem with The Dark Knight Joker is that I felt that they tried to give him a purpose, even if that purpose was supposed to be a middle ground between no purpose and anarchy. I feel like they really tried to give plant that anarchy thing on him. And that made me go like, eh. Like, no, don't get me wrong. Heath Ledger killed it. Okay. Mm-hmm. And he killed it hard. And I told people that he was going to kill it, and nobody wanted to listen to me because he was just the Knight's Tale guy. I told you that man could do it. Anyway, the point is, like, when they tried to give him that anarchy thing, I was like, that's not Joker. And so whenever people ask me about it, I always like to say that was the perfect Joker for that movie. And being that he got to have a run with the Batman verse, that was the perfect Joker for that version of Batman.
Okay.
But the perfect Joker, in my mind, so far, because I don't want to rule out, this movie before it gets a real shot. But when it comes down to it, I believe that the perfect Joker embodies the words that they always say about him in almost every medium. He is the clown prince of crime. He's a clown. He's a boss. He's a crime boss.
Yeah, but they actually kind of pulled that off to a point. It was just different. It was just a different level of crime.
See, the thing is no, they pulled out. I don't think they pulled off all of it.
That whole argument, well, not argument, that whole scene where he's in the hospital talking to Two-Face about not having a plan, and that was like, it was a great speech, but it was bullshit because he had a plan.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, like, it rubbed me the wrong way. Because it's much easier to stop somebody who doesn't know, or it's much harder to stop someone who doesn't know what they're doing from minute to minute. You don't know, and you have to be ready, because you don't know if the Joker's walking down the street or walking down an alley, he might just decide to kill that whole alley. If there's people in it, he might decide to set a building on fire. He might, but for them to have to set the purpose of that as anarchy, for them to set that as anarchy, like, diminished him being crazy. It wasn't that he was crazy, he just wanted to disrupt. That's not what the Joker does. I'm sorry, like, that's not how I see the Joker, and that's not how the Joker has been presented to me up to this point. Now, yeah, there have been little changes and iterations here and there, depending on which story you're reading, but they all pretty much, including the old cartoon, Batman the Animated Series, they all try to capture and do capture the Clown Prince of Crime. But the thing that makes it weird is because you think he's a crime boss, but then you walk into the room with him, and you understand that there is no rhyme or reason for anything. It's not he wants to accomplish something. He doesn't want to accomplish anything. He just wants to do, and that's it. So I get what Bureau's saying.
But there have been versions of Joker written like that in the comics. Where it was never about robbing banks. It was never about, like, running the city. It was literally just about causing as much crime and chaos in the city to drive Batman insane.
See, driving Batman insane is one thing, but doing it just to be an anarchist, that's not it. Like, that's different than just doing it to upset Batman.
It's not completely outside of the realm of something that a version of the Joker, like you said, it worked for that movie. So it's not something that's completely outside of the realm of the character.
So Bureau just said society. See, a lot of people, and I didn't want to talk about this because there's already a war going on Twitter over the perceptions of this movie. Like, some people are being like, is anyone else afraid that a bunch of white dudes are going to dress up in clown masks and shoot up the theater because of or basically because of the tortured woe of the white male figure in our society, and how different politicians are trying to say it's under attack, and, you know, the Jordan Petersons of the world, aka the grifters of garbage, they like. And then you have other people on the other side being like, you know, actually taking that role and being like, yeah, that's what it is. Haha, KKK. Like, we have all these things going on. I just want to cut them all out. I just want to see the movie. But in that, I understand what Bureau is saying as far as society, because it can still be interesting, in my opinion. And it can still be a great story. But at a time like this, it's going to lend itself to some sort of movement. And that's sad, honestly. But I felt it was worth at least mentioning it for a moment. And I did see that Pokey PF, my friend V, came in and said that all Jokers are horrible, the end. And so that's it.
No. Okay. So since we just I want to breach this topic of multiple Jokers since we're on it.
Okay, go ahead.
So, in the comics, about a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago, there was something called the Dark Side War. And basically most of the Justice League found themselves more powerful than they had ever been before by taking on powers of New Genesis. They were all gifted godlike abilities. Batman was given Metron's chair. If you guys don't know who Metron is, he's basically the all-knowing, all-seeing god of the new gods. He sits in a chair, he can go through time, he can go through space, and it pretty much gives him access to anything he needs to know. So Batman was the god of knowledge. And in his infinite wisdom, while he was sitting in that chair, he decided to ask the question, who is the Joker? And the Joker gave him and the rest of us an answer that none of us were ready for. And that answer was, there are 3 of them. And then they haven't touched on it since. Now, some point later on this year, before the year is over, Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok are going to be putting out a book under the DC Black Label imprint called Batman 3 Jokers. And it will be exploring this whole idea that there are 3 Jokers running around in the DC universe and what that actually means. And the 3 people that it's actually going to be revolving around are Batman, Bruce Wayne, Jason Todd, the Red Hood, and Barbara Gordon, Batgirl. The 3 people that he has pretty much messed with the most in the DC universe. So
that's interesting.
Other than Harley, which I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't show up in there at some point anyway.
Of course.
But there's a theory, because the book hasn't come out yet and they haven't really explored it, as to what do they really mean by how are there really 3 Jokers? Now, in the comic, there was a screen of his Bat computer with the multiple screens, and on it, there were literally 3 different Jokers. The original era version, the 70s to the 80s, all the way up until the New 52 version, and then the most current New 52 version. And there are 3 theories behind this. The one is that there are really physically 3 different Jokers, and they were all they were literally all created in some way, shape, or form by a mastermind, by one person. And this is sort of an it type of being that lives below the surface of Gotham, known as the Pale Man. And every so often, he basically finds someone that he can twist to become his vessel. And at this point, he actually has 3 of them now. The other one is the 3 personas, which was actually brought up in Batman, that every time Batman meets the Joker after one of his almost near-death experiences, whether it be from a fall or beating at Batman's hands or something, he's different than the last time that Batman actually faced him. And this has been persisting over time. There's also the fact that he's just crazy, and literally every time something happens, every time there's another trauma, it just flips over to a different version of the Joker that we all know. And then the last theory is the whole alternate realities, which is what we were discussing earlier about how DC reboots their world every so often. And there's the theory that the Joker, because of his insanity, is somewhat like Deadpool, where he notices that there's been changes and his mind sort of changes with the change. It's a subconscious thing, but it does it. And so that every time we go through one of these changes, this Joker has to adapt to this new version of the world. So that's the theory of the 3 Jokers right now. There's 3 different ones, 3 theories for a story arc of 3 Jokers. And I like all of them. And I'm interested to see how that plays out. But I also like the idea of the Joker as a legacy character, sort of someone who ever so often has groomed someone else to take his role and continue the fight against Batman.
So he's basically a Sith Lord.
Almost, yeah.
Joker is a Sith Lord. Now that would be a comic I'd read. Let's catch up with with chat here. So Biro said, I just don't want him to be presented as a metaphor for anything. There's a lot of shit you can do with a clown who robs banks. If a clown hit you with an acid pie and jacked your wallet, you wouldn't stop and say, what does this mean on a macro level? So, that is very true. That is very true.
Oh, he squirted me in the face with acid.
What does this
could I have
mean?
possibly done to deserve this?
What can I extrapolate from this? So
we're gonna turn the Joker into fucking 7 now.
Okay, so then we have Exterminate, who said, honestly, The Dark Knight and everything since hasn't been able to capture my attention like the ones before. Not saying I don't like them. Guess I just didn't really give them a chance, I suppose. I mean, for me, I was entertained by all of them, but I'm also the person with the off-the-wall, the off-the-wall grading of them as thinking that Dark Knight Rises is, to me, is the best of the movies. I think Dark Knight Rises is the best movie. I think The Dark Knight has a great Joker, and that Batman Begins has the best Gotham. That's how I grade those movies.
I'm with you in saying I've enjoyed all of the live action on screen Jokers so far. I liked each iteration for what it was and what it was trying to do within its movie. I love Nicholson's closer to the comic book version, but they brought it to a point where, like, when that came out, I had never seen the Joker kill before like that. And the fact that he was killing people and having a good old time doing it and laughing his ass off, that just endeared me to that character.
Yeah, I mean,
the chaotic aspect of the Ledger Joker I liked because it was something different. It wasn't what I was expecting. And their introduction to the character twice in one movie got me.
The only overall thing that I can say that I disliked about the movies is something that actually persists through about all of Christopher Nolan's movies. He's horrible at shooting action. Like,
yes,
he can make situational action. Like when you go back and think of the Inception, like he can do intricate situational action, like the hallway fight scene, where like there's something technical going on, and therefore it's kind of the action of the scene, not necessarily a punch or a kick being thrown. But when it comes to like actually shooting action, he's bad, and he tries to hide it through the same thing that other people who are bad at it do. That's close up camera and chopped up action, like edited to all hell action. And that is the one thing that really took me out of Batman Begins, was that when they finally got to the time when it was point where it was time to him to start kicking ass and, whatever, it was so choppy. There were honestly things where I was like, wait, who hit him? Wait, how did he get that guy? Like, what is happening? And
I feel like he was trying to give us like the criminal's eye view of the fights. And I'm like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want that view. Like,
I don't know what you're doing.
What the fuck just happened?
Yeah. I wanted what I wanted, and I'm going to tell you. I think somebody told him before Dark Knight Rises, because I liked the way he did Dark Knight Rises combat better, where it was just the camera did not cut. It just straight up followed you through the entire fight scene. Or if it cut, it was a moment where they weren't actually fighting. So that's how I judge it. I mean, I personally think the best Batman so far is Ben Affleck. And I believe that he was only marred by the fact that he was basically put in those movies. But I feel like he was the best part of those movies. So.
I'm disagreeing.
I'm
not disagreeing. I do want to bring up something else though, because that of Jokers that everyone there's a Joker voice actor that was I personally feel is like he's my second favorite Joker voice actor after Mark Hamill, and that's Bender himself, John DiMaggio from the Under the Red Hood movie.
That was one of the more enjoyable Jokers in history.
He was fucked up, dude.
Like I loved him.
Loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. That scene at the end when Red Hood opens the closet and he's in there with the chair tied up and he comes hopping out. Yo. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, for anybody who hasn't seen it, watch the Batman animated movie, the Red Hood, or what is it, Under the Red Hood?
Yeah, because that was.
That is one of the best representations of Batman, the Joker, and everything, which brings us. Yes, which brings us to. I'm going to step outside of the topic just for a second. About 2 days ago, it was said that the Birds of Prey trailer leaked.
I saw it. I saw the leak. I saw the shit. Hold on. Let me go find the link because I found it on you. I had it on YouTube. It was in Ukrainian, so you can't really understand anything. But there is video.
Okay. No. I don't want to show it. I don't want to show it until I have an actual good trailer. I was beginning to doubt that there was actually a leak. Like I told my friend earlier, I was like, yo, I think that's bullshit. Because the problem is, like, you can put the link in chat if you want so that other people can go see it. But I want to be able to understand and I want to be able to see clearly what's going on. Because the reason I brought that up, you know what? Put the link in the chat. I'll open it and see what I'm going into.
I'm trying to get it. I gotta send it to myself, or send it. Let me send it to you,
Paula. Nobody cares about Black Widow, and there wasn't a leak. I'm just playing. I'm joking.
There, you have a more robust computer than I am, so I'm just sending you the link, and you can throw it. I sent it through Facebook Messenger. All right. I try to send that, and everything's gonna slow down on my laptop, and then I'm gonna be mad.
All right. Well, then let's Here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and open that. But I was beginning to fear that it was like all bullshit. I was like, they leaked pictures to like the content creators of YouTube, and there was no trailer. Because everybody just had the same trailers, or everybody had the same pictures, and it's like images from the leak. And I'm like, how come? And I'm like, how come I can't find this trailer? And I was looking in the nethers of the net for this thing. And also, why is there a Ukrainian trailer out?
Because they put it out. I guess they put it out. It's in the video because the video I have actually shows the trailer, and then it goes into like a breakdown.
This trailer's looking a little dusty, my guy. It's looking a little dusty.
Hey, it looked clear on my shit.
Look, let me. Oh boy, I'm just. All right. Well, I guess we're gonna do this. I guess we're gonna do this. No. We're doing it for the people. I brought it up, and I brought up my doubt that it even, because I don't even know. Is that even a? Isn't that the thing that, like, the little online thing they put out like
no
8 months ago?
That's what I thought it was at first too, but no, because there's actual footage in there. There's shots of Ewan McGregor in there as Black Mask and everything.
Well, without the mask.
No, but there's shots of Huntress with her crossbow. There's shots of what's her name as Renee Montoya.
Rosie Perez.
Yeah, Rosie Perez. None of that shit was in there.
Okay. Now that was 37 seconds. So that's what
That's
most
a
people
teaser.
would call a teaser, not a
Yeah.
trailer. But even still, the only, as I said before in past podcasts, like they just to see Ewan McGregor as Black Mask makes the movie worth seeing to me, because I want to know if he gets that mask on.
Yeah,
Like if he gets that mask on, automatically it's not something I would expect him to play. But if that mask comes on, I am going to be extremely happy, just because I know that he has the acting chops to actually do a version of the character that should get a lot of people excited.
Exactly. He definitely
does. But we will see. We will see. Exterminate. Oh my God. You looking real thirsty out there in the chat, my guy. Real thirsty. So
he's about to go rewatch that scene in Suicide Squad.
Yeah. See,
you're like, what?
I mean, for me, I'm more excited for Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She is an actress that I find cute as hell.
So you're excited about Zombieland too.
Kind of.
Isn't that what she's in? No. That's Abigail Breslin. What's her name? Never mind.
She was great. She was. Oh. Old Ren 1 now follows the path of Vicious. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. I
liked her in Scott Pilgrim.
Oh yes, Scott Pilgrim. I liked her in the director's cut. She was just in the movie, but I especially love the director's cut of Die Hard, Live Free or Die Hard. Playing his daughter. I did all of that. I also really loved her in 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was fantastic. I love that movie. I've been trying to find it on some streaming service so that I could actually just watch it again, but then I was like, I can't do that, so I found other ways. Brothers from Delaware, nice. Yes, I'm in Richmond, Virginia, and Jinx is in New York.
I'm in upstate New York. Binghamton, there's no P, so please don't call it Binghamton. This isn't the Hamptons at all. Not like
Binghamton.
Yeah, Binghamton.
But indeed, thank you for joining us, Old Ren, and thank you again for the follow. I appreciate you. We're just small streamers out here trying to talk about movies and games and, do what we can. So, like I said, I really don't want to talk about Birds of Prey until we actually get something to go off of. But yeah, I'll once I see the trailer, we'll have it on an episode. That's
okay.
But
I'm full on about that.
Just an Enduro near Ithaca. Okay. So now, I guess we're in that last little stretch, and originally I had wanted to do the Terminator trailer. Do you want to do that trailer, or do we need to talk more about the Joker?
I don't really think there's much to talk about with the Joker, because other than like us making assumptions or guesses on how the story is going to go, there really isn't much to talk about. It's got a very good cast. Everything that we've both seen, we like, and we're on with, and there's still going to be a bunch of things in there that we don't know about yet. So I say let's move on to
all right.
Move on to Terminator.
All right, then let's move on to it, and we'll be back after the trailer, and we'll talk about this to end out the show. So there. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. All right, here we go.
Talk fast.
You first.
My name is Sarah Connor. August 29, 1997 was supposed to be Judgment Day. My son John and I stopped it. Saved 3 billion lives. Enough of a resume for you.
No. You may have changed the future, but you didn't change our fate.
What are you? Never seen one like you before. Almost human.
I am human, just enhanced. Let's get something straight. It's my mission to protect her. If you put her in danger, I will fuck you up.
Right. I drive.
Expect a big ping, brother. The whole body's a weapon.
Save it for the ladies.
Sorry.
Come with me.
I'll be back.
Listen, everybody dies if you don't make it.
How do we stop this thing?
You don't fight it.
Yeah, definitely.
You run from it.
That part.
Do you believe in fate, Sierra?
We don't win this one. It's all over. You know, when we're done, I am going to kill you.
So, yeah. What do you think?
We're just gonna go out and say both of us. I'm just gonna go out and say this because we had this conversation already. Neither one of us were excited about this movie until this trailer. We were kind of like, oh, it's a Terminator movie. We'll see how that goes. And then we saw this trailer and both of us were like, oh, well, no, I might actually have to go see that one.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is I've seen them all. And I honestly think that the last movie got a little extra hate that it didn't deserve.
Agreed.
It wasn't greatness, but it wasn't bad either, in my opinion.
I personally don't think the last two deserved all the hate they were given. I feel like the advertisement and the marketing for it ruined both of those movies, and therefore going in with us knowing the twist for both those movies, it just kind of killed the mood of those movies to a point.
Yeah, they definitely ruined it with the trailers they released for the last one, because they literally showed the entire end of the movie in the trailer.
Well, and with Salvation, they gave away the whole dude's a prototype with a human heart thing. Like, I was like, had you not shown that part, that reveal in the movie would have blown everybody away. Everybody would have been like, wait, what? Okay. All right. That's okay. So, and the same thing with the last movie.
Yeah. They gave away the twist, they gave away the ending, and it was just, all the action parts, everything.
Yeah, you're just like, well, what is the point of going to see the fucking movie?
Yeah.
So with this, it looks like there's still, even with all that they gave away in this movie, there's still huge chunks missing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's chunks, there's things going on that I don't know. Like, I loved Old Arnold from the last movie.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, I love that there's like almost like a father-son or a father-daughter relationship going on in this movie. And I love that it was like a care there, that he had kind of learned to be human and actually developed like, yeah, I loved the nuances.
They took that thread from the end, from basically Terminator 2, and then ran with it. And I like that. That's exactly what that was. It was that thread of he can learn how to be more human.
Yeah.
And then they ran with it.
I don't know. We'll see if he can smile. I don't really think that's pertinent though. Like, I don't care if he's smiling or not. I would just really like for him to get into the fight and die in the fight. That's basically what I foresee happening.
Here's the thing, since we're talking about smiling and everything.
Yeah.
Is Diego Luna, right?
What?
Playing the gentleman playing the Terminator.
No, Diego Luna is the guy who
that was in Star Wars.
Yeah, that was in Star Wars.
Now I'm mad because I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Well,
the gentleman playing the new Terminator.
Well, I'm gonna look him up while you're trying to remember him, and we'll see.
Gabriel Luna. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So Gabriel Luna. Can we just talk about the part where he basically finessed his way past the guards until the metal detector gave him up?
Now, I don't know if the metal detector gave him up or if they just did a flash forward, because the shot behind that I get what you're saying, but the shot behind the guard that he was walking towards was different than than when he was back in the cells ripping people apart.
Oh, no, I know. But I'm talking about he finessed his way to get through, and then he talked his way, and then he walked to the metal detector. And then the metal detector is when he got caught. So it's like, dude had enough of a personality to convince people, because
Yeah, the previous Terminators.
They had no personality. The most that's a good-looking boy. It's a good-looking boy you got there. That was it. Next thing you know, he putting fucking knives through people's mouths through milk cartons and shit. He ain't no personality.
Well, I think I might have to pull an old disrespected one and go back and watch. It's been long enough since I've seen all the movies that I might go back and actually watch my way through it, back up to this point, basically, to watch it all the way through, get up to this movie, and then go see this movie. I can't even remember the last time I saw. Yeah, I can't even remember the last time I saw the first Terminator. It's been a while.
I can tell you this with an honest face. I've seen the first one more recently than I've seen the third one.
Well, that I can.
I'm just looking dead in the camera when I say that too. It's like,
but I would also like to state that I liked the third one. I liked it completely, no caveats. Because to me, that was the only, because the thing a lot of people hated was that they didn't stop Judgment Day, and I was like, of course not.
No,
I loved that, and that was when Arnold, he was playing the Terminator. He had just got out of like heart surgery. He's like 50 years old. I'm like, this guy is killing it. This guy is killing it right now. And
I'm not gonna sit. I really don't remember much of that movie other than Kristen Loken and the ending and them not being after John Connor the whole time. They were after his wife, and I remember that. I do remember them not stopping Judgment Day, and I thought about that, and it was like I really liked that, and then I liked how moving forward, it was basically saying, like, even with this movie with Dark Fate, it's basically saying, yeah, no, Judgment Day is never ever stopped. It is only postponed. It only just and that's all we keep doing. We just keep pushing it back a couple more years, because even and now I'm gonna get into Paula's request to a point.
Okay, go ahead.
With Terminator, I'm gonna bring up Terminator Genesis real quick. Even that movie basically was a statement of you can't stop the inevitable. You can prepare for it as much as you want. You can do whatever you want to try and get around it, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, you can lessen the blow.
Yeah, no, yeah, you can't. You can't. And Genesis was basically saying, yeah, shit got messed up. And look, it still ended up happening, and we still ended up in a future war fighting against robots to a point where they're going back in time just as much as we are. Like it's literally we go back, they go back. We go back, they go back. We go back, they go back.
Yeah.
That's what Terminator has become now. It's not even about stopping this shit. It's just stopping who's in the current timeline.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. So go ahead. I mean,
no, that's it. That's and to a T. I mean, I'm oversimplifying it, Paula, but that's what it came down to was, yeah, if you go to this timeline, this is what's supposed to be happening, but because something happened in the past timeline, that's not going to happen anymore, or at least not in that fashion. Something else is going to create Skynet now.
Yeah, there's
so,
just.
So, oh, you got the chip in the arm? That's fine.
Yeah, still shit out of luck.
Yeah, exactly. It's just gonna be 10. You just want yourself 10 years. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Now someone else is going to create something else, and that's going to now evolve into whatever becomes Skynet.
Yeah. And I mean that's Paula, that's basically it. Is that no matter what happens, I mean they did, because wasn't she talking about the one that basically they had her, or was it John Connor had joined the machines?
That was They infected him.
Yeah, they infected him. He was like, okay. And then they had, wasn't what's his name? Captain Boomerang in that one, and he actually wasn't that bad.
Yeah, Captain Boomerang was John Connor.
No.
He was Reese.
Yeah, he was Reese. And so, yeah, and he actually wasn't that bad in that movie, but he wasn't great either. But yeah, like
and Emilia Clarke she was not a horrible young version of a more militarized version of Sarah Connor. But she's definitely no version. She's not the original.
Yeah, she's not in the Hamilton.
And
so
she's no Lena Headey either.
See, I never really got to see the Lena Headey one. Whatever.
All right.
The Cersei one. I never got to see.
That's a whole other timeline then. That's like this shit becomes like Star Trek and Star or whatever now. That is literally a third timeline other than, you know what I mean? Or a fourth timeline. So it's separate than the movies.
Yeah. All right. Well, I believe that is the end of our show. Come today, there are going to be a lot of changes for those on Twitch. Stay up to date with the tracker that I have beneath the video, because I'm going to start putting out a schedule. And basically, I'm going to try to do a show at lunchtime, Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to try to do a lunch show every day. So at least a 30 minutes to an hour long stream every day, talking about new news and different random things. But we're going to keep this show on Monday nights at this time. And so, yeah, we're going to have more stuff, shorter content for YouTube and stuff coming out. And as I stated before, thank you to all of you who came out came out for this. I appreciate all the viewers that we get. I appreciate how good things are getting. If you're on Facebook, we actually have an arm of the basically the podcast that we've started up over there under The Strongest There Is, which is the company that I run. And so I want to make sure that everyone has the ability to join and spread it around to people who you think are interested in what we talk about, basically. Just, I'm going to place a link in here in a second. So there we go. Link address. There we go. I'll go ahead and paste it in here. And join the page, and we'll be putting up clips from the podcast into this page, as well as little reviews and stuff that both Jinx and I can do now and place on here. It'll also be on our YouTube, which is under tsti.com. Let me see here. Okay, it didn't trigger. That's okay. But yeah, tsti.com, thestrongestthereis.com. And yeah, just get linked up with us on everything and stay up to date. And for a lot of people that don't know, there is a Discord. If you check below the video on Twitch, there's a Discord. If you're interested in possibly joining one of the shows and being a special guest, or a special guest host, I should say, then yeah, join that Discord. And not a lot goes on in there. I warn you beforehand, but we usually talk about what we're going to be doing for the next show, and there's a place for people to sign up if they want to, speak with me about becoming a special guest host. So now that I've done all of this for minutes on end, and I'm sure you're sick of hearing me talk about it, I'm going to say goodbye. Jinx, you got anything to throw out there as well?
Watch Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. I'm going to be doing a review on that probably by the end of this week. I love my daughter, but she was not able to get sucked into the show the way I was. I think there's just too much going on, and the episodes are too long. She only likes to binge watch half-hour long shows and stuff. So that's fine, though, because as sad as that makes me, it frees me up to just binge it for the rest of this week. So by the end of the week, you might want to check out the TSTI page, because I will probably be throwing up a video review of Age of Resistance.
And you know what? I'm we just got 3 more people that jumped in here. Like right when we're about to end. We jump up to 9 viewers. So now I'm going to go ahead and throw this off. I'm going to host or raid someone. And actually, I might not be doing that because nobody's on. Well, anyway.
It's a holiday, though.
Yeah, it is a holiday. I totally forgot. But thank you to everyone again. I know I keep saying it, but I am very thankful to all of you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So
we appreciate all of the viewers. We appreciate all of your comments. We appreciate everything.
Yep. So have a good night. We'll see you again probably on Wednesday of this week. Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time, we have the Dumpster Fire Future podcast. See you then. All right.
I mean, what is this? Ninjas, drug pushers, my men being kidnapped and murdered? This is really beginning to get